Hi, my name's Rory Gibbs. I'm an Olympic champion and two-time world champion in rowing. So in this video, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of a rowing stroke. Now, firstly, rowing is such a great sport. You're pretty much utilizing most muscles in your body. So you're going to be driving with your legs, you're going to be using your core muscles and your upper body as well. It's low impact on your joints, which is highly sort of correlated with longevity. Because of sort of the water in the machine as well, you're going to be building muscle mass with its resistance, and then you're also going to be improving your cardiovascular fitness as well. So it's very much a well-rounded sport and accessible to everyone of all abilities. So whether you're looking to perhaps represent your country one day and see how far you can get in the sport, or you just want to hop on the rowing machine in your living room at home and enjoy rowing, the actual rowing stroke is the same no matter the level. It's all about being as efficient as you can and getting the most out of the machine. So with that said, we're going to run through how to set yourself up, and then we're going to talk about the two phases of a rowing stroke, so the drive phase and the recovery phase. So firstly, when you're getting on the rowing machine, it's really important that we set our feet up in the right position. So if you adjust your foot plate too high, this is what I'm going to do right now. Make sure it's level, that's really important. And we put our feet in. What you'll find is at the finish position, when you're trying to come up the slide, because our feet are so high, it's going to be very hard to get over our knees. Once we're at the catch and the drive position as well, because our feet are so high, we're not in the strongest position we could be in order to drive back and get the most sort of power output or wattage that we would like to achieve. Now the same goes for setting up our foot plate too low. So if we brought our foot plate right down to the bottom, what you're going to find now is, one, it's only going to hold your toes in, and two, whilst it might be a lot easier now to sort of get over our knees because our legs are so much lower, once we get to the catch position, we're much more in a sort of an upright chair, if you want. So now we're really having to drive off our toes and our knees as opposed to using our quads. So again, we're also in a really vulnerable, weak position in order to drive off. So what we want to be doing is setting ourselves up in a position where we can still sort of get over our knees, but then making sure that we're in a really strong position to drive back as well. And so a way to gauge that is by setting it up so the straps are pretty much just over the top of the lace and in line with your little toes. So now we've got ourselves set up in the right position with the foot plate, we can go through the two phases of a rowing stroke. So rowing, you can kind of envision it like a light switch, okay? So when the light is on, there's energy, there's power, and then when you flick it off, it's completely dead, it's pitch black, and we're recovering, if you like, in terms of rowing. So it's sort of, we're driving, we're on, the light's off, we're relaxed, we're as efficient as we can on the recovery phase. So the drive phase, this is when the light is getting turned on, and this is where we're going to generate all of our power. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here in the catch position, the start of the drive phase. So we're holding our core nice and tight, we're sitting up tall, we've got the arms straight, we're going to drive back with our legs. Whilst rowing is all body, it is predominantly leg driven. The legs are the biggest, strongest muscles in the body, so we're going to use those. So what we do here is we drive back with our legs, and we're just going to isolate it for now on legs only. Get used to that sort of feeling of keeping the core nice and tight, the arms are staying straight, and we're driving with the legs. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring our back in. So after we drive with the leg, we're going to bring the back in. So leg drive and then back. Back comes back over, leg drive and then back. Now the last bit of sequencing on the drive phase is finishing it off with the arms. So legs, back, then arms. Here we go, legs, back and arms. Legs, back and arms. Now, one way to sort of really enforce that you use the leg drive, or you use your legs rather, when we're driving, is by taking your feet out and doing the feet out drill. What happens here is if you try and sort of prioritize your upper body and your back at the finish here, you're gonna come off the back of the machine. I've got to be careful or I'll fall off the back into these plant pots. So what it does is it makes sure that you sit up tall, you hold your core, you drive with your legs, and you keep a little bit of sort of weight on the foot plate. So we can do the whole stroke, and in order to actually generate much power, because our feet are out and we can't use our upper body to generate it, we have to drive through the legs. So this is a really good exercise for making sure that we're prioritizing the legs in the drive phase, which is where we're going to generate that speed in rowing. So let's put our feet in and go through the recovery phase. So this is where the light's off and we're trying to be as efficient as possible. Now, obviously in the drive phase, that's where we're generating our power, our wattage, and propelling that boat or the ergo forwards. The recovery phase, we can still get a lot out of it by saving energy and sort of, if you were on the water, boat speed as well, by being technical and efficient. So with the recovery phase, again, we can break down that sequencing, and it's all about being fluid, efficient, saving energy, catching your breath in order to get ready for the next drive phase. So what we'll do is we'll start with arms only. And you can see how it's a little bit of a conveyor belt here. So I'm sort of going down and away, up and down. So a little bit of a circle. It becomes a bit more of an oval as we sort of extend it out. And we're just being nice and continuous, nice and fluid. The next phase here is to bring in your back. So we'll go arms and then back. Arms, then back. You can over-exaggerate this a little bit if you want, to sort of enforce that change, but ideally it's a bit of a sort of a pivot and a rock at the hip. So we're not dropping our back when we're actually trying to get the most out of the stroke, but for this sort of purpose, whilst we're trying to sort of emphasize the changes in the sequencing, it's okay. So the next sort of step here would be to break the knees and get the legs involved. So we're going to go to quarter slide. So we're going to go arms, body, quarter slide. So we make sure that we clear the knees with our arms on our body before we start popping up the legs. So we don't want to be coming forwards like this where we can't get over our knees. We need to make sure that we're clearing before we get over the knees. And that extends our recovery time. It means we're still moving. We've got more time to catch our breath and get more out of the drive phase. And that's why it's really important that we sequence. We can keep sort of moving up the slide here. And eventually, we get into a position where we're back at the drive phase, the light's on, then the light's off. So you can see how it's very much a cycle. We're always doing something. There's no point where we're just sort of sat here and then we're sort of coming up. We're always moving between the light on and the light off for efficiency and power. So a good exercise to do when we're trying to sort of enforce that sequencing on the recovery phase is a rate build. So what we can do is start with arms only, keep it nice and light. It's not about pulling hard here, it's just about the sequencing and the movements. And then every sort of few strokes or 10 seconds, you can increase the speed at which you're moving. And you can have a bit of fun with it and just take it up as far as you want to go. And why this is really beneficial is because you're kind of taking it to the top level there. So it gets very hard to kind of keep that sequencing in mind, and you have less sort of recovery or chances to do anything else. So when you then bring it back down to normal speed, your sort of steady state, it becomes a lot more clear cut. You've suddenly got a lot more time and you can sort of really understand why it's important and actually how manageable it is for you at all levels. You can also repeat that drill up the chain. So I could do it arms and bodies, or we could do it at quarter slide, just breaking the knees. And it's, essentially all the way up to the front. So, rowing is a real great sport for low impact, full body resistance, building strength, improving your cardiovascular fitness. And in terms of the rowing stroke, there's two phases. You've got the drive phase and the recovery phase. Like a light switch, we're on and then we're off. So it's about power, then it's about efficiency. The reality is, it takes time. A lot of people sort of perceive rowing as quite a difficult sport because they haven't got the fundamentals or the efficiency out of the stroke just yet in order to sort of really enjoy that recovery phase. Because I can tell you, once you do improve your technique, the recovery phase is very much catch your breath, find your energy, and get ready for the next stroke. And so it's really great in terms of that. So it just takes time. I've been rowing for a little bit over a decade, 10 years, and I can still sort of fine tune my technique and get a little bit more out of the machine to this day. So for you guys at home, it's about consistency, getting on the ergo, doing some drills, having fun with it, and in time, you will get better, you will improve your efficiency. So if you'd like some more videos, I'm gonna be releasing a lot of sort of at-home workout videos where you can row along with me, we'll put some music over the top, we'll do some workouts where I'm sort of coaching as well. It'll be a really great way for you to improve your technique whilst getting in a really solid workout.